Sope, congratulations on the film.
Thank you. Thank you very
Uh,
much.
really, really enjoyed it, and it looked absolutely gorgeous. But of course, this isn't the first time that you've played Mr. Malcolm, because of course
Mhm.
you were in the short a couple of
Yeah.
years ago. So how does it feel to be coming back to the role?
Yeah, I mean, when we made the short, we were very focused on the fact that we wanted to make a feature, and the short was just sort of like the was going to give us access to making the feature. So I suppose the biggest difference between the two for me was the resources I had to draw on for creating the character. At the time that we made the short, the book hadn't been published, and the feature script was in its like very, very early stages. Emma then tore it all apart, put it back together, and made the film that we have now. Um, and I suppose going into the feature, that gave me a much deeper reservoir of things that I could draw on in terms of who he was as a character, what he was motivated by. Whereas the short was a bit more like, not, it wasn't superficial, but it was nowhere near as like profound an interpretation as hopefully the film is. And I hope that you can see that when watching the two, because if you can't, then either I was a fantastic actor in the beginning or I'm still a terrible actor now.
So how would you say Mr. Malcolm has changed since the short and moving on to the feature?
Well, I mean, like one of the biggest changes, I suppose, would be the Yoruba heritage that we added to the character in the feature that was not present in it wasn't specific in the short. I think the relationship with Cassie, which is definitely explored in the short, is just a lot deeper, a lot richer. Oliver and I had a lot more time to talk about their experiences at school and why they relied on each other, why they were drawn to each other. And I think the scene that replaces that, the short scene, in the club, that one shot around the table, it's just a lot richer. They're a lot more connected. I obviously get to spend a lot more time with Frida Pinto in the feature than I did in the short, gratefully, because she's excellent. So yeah, I think there are obvious reasons why the short is different from the feature, but also there's some nuanced and perhaps imperceptible reasons as well.
He has been compared to Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice.
Naturally.
And how does it feel to be the Mr. Darcy of 2022?
I appreciate you calling me that. I never expected it for myself, and I wouldn't necessarily say that I was, but
I'm not the only one. I mean, come on.
Thank you. No, I'm grateful to everyone who has enjoyed the film enough to put Malcolm on that pedestal. I hope that the film is ubiquitously enjoyed as Pride and Prejudice has been over the years. So yeah, that's very high praise. I'm very grateful to you and everybody else.
And no wet shirts, of course.
And no wet shirts, yes. No wet shirts.
But you do wear some wonderfully elegant clothes in the film. And I wondered if you actually liked the formality of Regency fashion.
I did, and I think our costume designer, Pam Down, did a wonderful job on not a massive budget. I think one of the most expensive parts of making period dramas is the costume and is the locations and stately homes, etc. But she just really pulled it out of the bag. She made it all feel like all of it was tailored. And I really loved the sort of the stress that it put on my body to like hold myself correctly. The only times I was most comfortable was when my posture was perfect. There's a constant reminder to pin your shoulders back, keep your core engaged. Yeah, I would definitely keep a couple of those costumes if I could. I don't know when I wear them, but they were certainly way more comfortable for the men than they were for the women, I believe.
So you didn't quietly keep one afterwards then?
Unfortunately not. I think put like trackers in all of the clothes to make sure they came back.
You talked about your posture just then, and it made me think we also see you in some wonderful balls where you're dancing, where of course your posture is important for that. I mean, how much practice did you have to put in for those scenes?
Yeah, we definitely had a couple of dance rehearsals. I think Frida and I picked up the steps quite quickly, and we were able to then just practice by ourselves whenever we got a spare minute whilst the cameras were turning around. But yeah. It wasn't too difficult, thankfully.
So we're going to be seeing you on Strictly, do you think?
Hey, if you can campaign me to get on Strictly, I loved watching Strictly with my mum when I was younger, especially around Christmas time. Um, so yeah, I think it would be a bit. I think it's always a cheat when you have like pop stars or actors as dancers, because like they're so physical anyway. They've had to use their body in their job for years. So more often than not, they're going to be good dancers. But I don't mind getting that cheeky little what do you call it? That little boost.
Yeah, why not?
Hmm.
The film, of course, draws very strongly on Jane Austen's novels. There's more than a flavour of Bridgerton in there as well. I wondered if you'd read any Jane Austen before making either the feature or indeed the short.
Yeah, definitely when it comes to making the feature, I sat and watched all of the adaptations of her books in film and television. I listened to Emma as an audiobook and read Pride and Prejudice. You know, yeah, I think it would have been remiss of me not to immerse myself in that world before creating it ourselves. Um, yeah, you can't move through Regency England without Jane Austen being your guide. You know?
You can't. How did you get on with her books? Because they can be a bit of an acquired taste.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like I did a lot of Dickens when I was at school as well, and I think they're similar in their attention to detail and ability to go off piste and come back. You know, but I think it's just it's an interesting reminder of the things that were important to readers at that time. You know, those little moments of like, oh yes, I see myself in that. Or I don't think, whilst it can feel gratuitous, I don't think a word is wasted. Um, so yeah, it's about finding the clues and gems in places that you didn't think you would have to look for them.